Gucci. It was a name that sounded so sweet, so seductive.
Come, meet the family.
Hey everybody, this is Patrizia, and this is my family.
Kick his teeth out!
They had it all. Wealth, style, power. Who wouldn't care for that?
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the AwardsWatch Oscar Podcast. It's been a while. This is podcast number 81. I haven't even gotten to 100. I'm only at 81. And it is October 28th. We are just getting into awards season. Festivals are wrapping up, and we've got some fun stuff to talk about today. And on the show, I think for the first time, maybe, is it the first time? Yes. He's been begging and begging, and I finally relented. I know I will regret it, but here we are. Please welcome Ryan McQuade from InSession and AwardsWatch. Hello, Ryan.
Hello, Eric. How are you?
We meet again.
I was telling you offline, it feels so weird being in the guest spot because you're always the guest on my old show. And
It's
all this
true,
other stuff, so.
but you know, I can be verse
God,
sometimes.
Okay. All right.
Yes, but yes, I've guested on the, one of the 14 different podcasts
That's
that
fair.
you and InSession host,
That's fair.
and
It's a fair criticism.
had not brought you on, but I haven't done a podcast since April.
Yeah,
because-
it's just because you're lazy.
It is. I am very, very lazy, and I am also selfish, and I just want other people to do the work, and I don't really feel like doing it.
Exactly. That's why I write for you.
It's true. It's true. All right. I said we're going to talk about some fun stuff, and I think we are. Both Ryan and I went to various festivals in September and October. I did Telluride, got a lot of great films under my belt and some fun scoops and some just fantastic conversations.
Late nights.
Very, very late nights, lots of dancing, lots of alcohol,
Lots of coffee in the morning.
a lot of coffee in the morning. Yes. Thank goodness for that.
Mm-hmm.
But Ryan, you were just at Middleburg, which is in Virginia. And I believe that was your first time at the Middleburg Film Festival.
First time in person. I did
In
the
person,
virtual
yes.
one last year. Yes.
And what was that like for people that aren't that familiar with it? Just the setup and the location.
So it's in this small town about 45 minutes to an hour outside of DC. And primarily it is located at this 5-star hotel spa resort thing called the Salamander. And it is a very intimate location that just has like one giant ballroom is where you see everything. Not the most comfy chairs, but you're there to see movies, so it balances itself out, and you're able to meet talent. There's some great panels. Some friends of ours that we know throughout the award season did those panels, and it was also just like a great place to talk shop, as you know, and get the vibe and sense and figure out that some opinions are becoming more universal than others on some topics that we'll talk about today. And then it's like also you get to see the films that you got to see at Telluride and some other ones too in between. But I saw like 13 films in 4 days. Yeah, I know. I really went hard. Even like on the site, we dropped the Endowed review today or interview today. And I told her, she's like, "Are you going to go get some rest?" And I'm like, "No, I'm actually going to go see a couple more movies." And she's like, "Oh, you poor thing." You know what I mean? Like she was like caring about my well-being. And but there was a lot of fun, and it's over 4 nights. There's 2 parties. There's one on Thursday. There's one on Saturday. Talent usually goes with that. Everyone, did a great job. Sheila Johnson, who, runs the whole thing. She's the best and everyone was vaccinated. Everyone had to have taken a COVID test, wear masks during all screenings. From what I could tell, nobody tested positive or anything. It was very clean process. And then I came home and slaved away on a computer afterwards for you. And just, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And it was my first film festival post the pandemic in person. So it made me like, now, like you rip the Band-Aid off and you're like, okay, I'll go to like all of them now. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. Now I just want to do it all the time. And it seems like a very intimate festival, the way that Telluride, and I just finished up Mill Valley as well. And these are
like that.
These are, yeah. And it sort of felt like that, where it's not exactly, it's not paparazzi and red carpets in the same way. It's just kind of conversations and it's a little more easygoing, and you can just have those conversations that are just frank and friendly and with less pomp and circumstance to them.
Yeah. And then you can talk with talent on I think a more personal and deeper level. And then you never know who, and then, you're talking to, awards campaigns for various studios and hearing what they think. And those are always fun and interesting, because then like you go back when you know this, you go back home and then you hear all these people online talk about, oh, well, they're got to be pushing this and this. And you're like, yeah, well, in your mind, maybe, but not what they say.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And so it really provides, it was like the first time really for me to see sort of the how the sausage is made during award season. And for anyone that's never done it, then you kind of don't know the whole other angle to this season. Like you can go to like Sundance and you can go to South by and you can go to early festivals earlier in the year, and those are more laid back, and the studios are trying to buy things and studios are trying to see which might be hit later on down in the year for indie wise. But when it gets to these, then you can tell in the conversations where they're trying to push you to maybe write your pieces or what you think of this movie and stuff like that. And it's just like, and then I like this, and maybe we'll have a different conversation or whatnot. And so, but it was a wonderful time, and I was happy to not tarnish your reputation in front of everyone.
Yes, I mean, obviously, I was very concerned about this because your reputation is so terrible.
I know.
And I just decided to take a chance on you, and it hasn't bitten me in the ass yet. But I'm always cautious and looking at you, making sure, because I will drop you like a bad habit.
I don't think people can tell that we were totally joking about this. This is usually the way me and Eric talk, like on.
Yeah, and it's actually probably a perfect time to announce to the 3 listeners to this.
Oh my God, it's not 3 listeners. We have many more, monthly clicks and subscribers and everything. People are dying to hear this show. Sure. They want to hear your thoughts.
Maybe. No, but I did want to announce that Ryan is joining AwardsWatch as an official team member, as a staff writer, and you can see his little bio and picture on the AW team lineup soon. I don't know when. Probably by the time you listen to this,
probably
if
about
I get
next
around
year.
to it.
Next year. When he gets around to it.
Yeah,
he's a busy man.
Maybe.
I
don't know. It might be like very, very small, like in the footer or something like
Everyone's
that.
very large, and I'm like
exactly
6 size font. Like a footnote.
But anyway, yes. Ryan is a part of AW now, and you will never, ever be able to leave.
All right, Hotel California. Sure.
Yes. Yeah. Let's see. We do have AFI coming up next month, and I will be there for that. And that does have some world premieres, not a whole lot.
A couple big ones.
It's got Swan Song, the Mahershala Ali and Glenn Close. Halle Berry's directorial debut, Bruised, where she's an MMA fighter and she's in it and directs.
I thought that already premiered earlier a couple of years ago.
It was a work in progress last year at Toronto.
Okay. That's what
this is the real movie. And then Tick Tick Boom, which has Andrew Garfield as Jonathan Larson, who created Rent, and it's directed by Lin-Manuel Miranda, his debut. So it's an interesting lineup of world premieres of things that we haven't seen yet. There's also going to be some glitzy, fun red carpet premieres for Parallel Mothers and for King Richard and Power of the Dog. So we'll have those which have already premiered other places. But, you know, this is hometown turf. So I think we can expect a lot of talent to show up. I mean, I certainly hope that Will Smith decides to show up to AFI for this. He's Will Smith.
He doesn't have to spend time with you.
He doesn't need to. He's already the front runner, and maybe he knows that. But it would probably be good for him to show up to AFI, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he's literally in town.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not like doing.
It's going to be a very busy month for him. We'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, so that's coming up, AFI. And I like AFI quite a bit. It is a lot of fun. It's as intimate as a Hollywood-based film festival can be, but lots of fun conversations, lots of Academy voters and members. Yeah. Very, very centrally located. So really good conversations to be had there. And, you know, I love going because I get to see my peers and people that I talk to all the time, but don't see every day. So that's going to be really nice to see them again.
That was also the other thing about Middleburg too, is that there were Academy voters there. And so you get to gauge interest. So all these festivals, you get to gauge interest as the season's going on. They don't get to see everything at every festival like us. So like they go to multiple festivals so that they can try to catch things and get in conversations and stuff. And I will be very interested to see the response from Tick, Tick, Boom after talking with some of the Netflix people about that film. And they really like Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, I know.
But when I asked them what else about the film, they said, well, they really love Andrew Garfield. So I'll leave that for you guys. That's a little scoop.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that too. It's been really interesting, these little conversations. Because like you said, it does give us insight's probably the best word. It certainly gives us the knowledge of what a studio or reps care about the most, or I should say want us to care about the most.
Yes.
And it doesn't necessarily mean, yes, please write a puff piece on this movie or this actor. It just means, you know, when you're putting your stuff together, this is kind of where we're leaning. So if you're leaning here for this, that's fine. But this is where our focus is going to be, which doesn't mean that that's a campaign that will succeed. It just gives us one more small piece of the puzzle, because there are many, many pieces.
Yeah. And with
that go into an awards campaign.
And with a giant studio, not like Netflix, they have to put their eggs strategically in the right basket.
It's because they usually have 24, 35 eggs.
Exactly. And this year, I think they're being a little bit more careful, from at least the conversations I've had with them and stuff. And probably you have.
I think so too. I think
they're not, everything is for Best Picture. It's like, no, they have maybe one or two, you know, if another one squeaks in, then, you know, that's there. But then they're really they're doing what I think a real studio should do, which is, you know, this one's for this one in this category, and this is for another. And, you know, if it overextends, then it's a wonderful surprise.
Yes. And specifically to them, you know, the amount of content they have is pretty much guaranteed to now get them like the most nominations for a studio, which is great. That's something that, you know, will always be in the record. But, you know, I don't know any studio that doesn't want a Best Picture win. So that's always going to be the golden goose, always. And it certainly will be for a streamer to lock that in. So there are quite a few things this year that are not going to be seen at a festival. We aren't going to really know very much about them until press screenings or until Academy screenings. And that's House of Gucci and Nightmare Alley, both of which are having Academy screenings this week.
Mhm.
House of Gucci press junkets are next week. And then we have like Don't Look Up, which is another big Netflix film.
Yeah.
So,
Well, don't forget Licorice Pizza.
and Licorice Pizza. Yes, Licorice Pizza. Also end of November. It's
And
still
West Side-
wild to me that MGM is doing House of Gucci and Licorice Pizza within 2 days of each other. But
And-
one's wide and one's limited with a platform, which is very different.
And
Very
West Side Story.
And West Side Story. Yeah. It's
Those
actually a
are the
lot.
big. Those are the big five, I think, though.
That's a lot. And it feels like
Huge.
more than usual that we're going to be completely unseen until they're seen.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
it's a lot. But of all of those, on today, the 28th of October 2021, in the year of our Lord and Savior Lady Gaga, the new trailer for House of Gucci came out this morning. And it's very funny that we basically saw the entire movie play out in paparazzi and set pics in a way that I've never really quite seen before. And I think somebody should just make like a picture book and just flip through all of those photos, because you have pretty much the whole movie right there.
Mm-hmm.
But this new trailer had a significant amount of new material.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, some Salma Hayek, a lot more Jared Leto, which I regrettably really enjoyed.
He looked really good, Eric.
He looked a little bit less cartoony.
He looked like the emotional center of the film.
I don't even want to think about that.
I mean, no, I mean his scene, which is like the scene where he's begging to Adam Driver and Lady Gaga. When we saw, like you mentioned, when Ridley couldn't lock down a set and like it was releasing everywhere, photos and videos, it looked so over the top. We're like, oh God, this is just going to be like so much frosting on this cake. And then you see and hear what he's saying and how he's, through all that, like, 10,000 pounds of makeup, in just the trailer, it's like, wow, is he good? Am I questioning my reality? Like, what's going on? Like, no, it looked great. Pacino looked very good too. He was very front and center.
He also got a lot more, quite a bit more. I mean, I still think it's campy as fuck. It looks insane.
Oh yeah.
I'm not pretending that this is like, a new movie. The tone is exactly the same. It's a little more I, Tonya than the first was. And the early word was that there were similarities to that movie, to the style and fourth wall breaking and stuff, which they do not show in the trailer, which was
good.
A good idea.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I loved it. I think it is. I'm still so torn on what to do with it, really, as a major awards player. But I feel a little bit better about it now, and it just looks so outrageously fun.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with either one of Ridley's films. Like, I don't.
Well, I mean, I basically dumped The Last Duel. I'm not doing anything.
Can't count it out. It's gonna play well.
I think I can.
Well,
I can. You can't tell me what to do. You are.
Well, I'm not saying I didn't. Well, okay. No, that was last year. The Father was last year. But no, I understand that, Eric. I was saying for me, I don't know if I can do that yet. Those listening skills, ladies and gentlemen, for the elderly on this podcast. But no, it played really well. And I know that it didn't perform at the box office, but that movie is surprisingly really good. And technically it's a pretty great achievement. And if Gucci is campy and it doesn't hit in the right way, then, I still think that could rack below the line nominations, and a screenplay nomination is on the table, and Comer is still around the area of maybe top 15, and Driver, that might be his best chance at a nomination.
I think it probably is, but I've kind of bumped him down.
Yeah,
I have really big year, but like nothing seems like it's really going to pan out for him which is unusual because oftentimes when you have an actor that has 3 huge projects, you get this coalescing around one of them by voters because they don't want to, and I'm not going to say vote splitting, but they don't want to ruin his chances of not getting in somewhere. So you focus on like a single performance role, and it's usually the bigger film. But let's get back to Gucci. Just circle right back to Gucci a little bit here. Okay. I am really excited for Ridley Scott to have these 2 projects. And as far as Gaga goes, she does look extremely over the top and a lot of fun. But I think what benefits her, and we're basically just going to merge into, Oscar talk and stuff right now at this point. I think what benefits her is that she is already a Best Actress nominee and an Oscar winner. This isn't her first major film. I think if this was her first major film, her chances would be less, but she's now a known entity. It's not like, Madonna in Evita, where there was clearly going to be a bias regardless of quality. So I think that benefits Gaga enormously here, is that she's not brand new.
Yeah, she's in my 5 right now. I'm not confident in it just because, like I said, I'm not confident in the film on the whole. You know what I mean? And so it'll be interesting to see what those reactions are from the Academy screenings, and I'm sure the more louder voices will speak up, and her fans will clamor to any positive news for that. But I mean, like that's sort of like this actress race this year is like, you have Lady Gaga and her massive fan base. You have Kristen Stewart and her massive fan base, which is insane. Say a bad thing about either one of those online and you're done. Then you have Chastain, who has a pretty strong following too.
Well, that's just her. That's just herself.
Yeah. And then people love Olivia Colman. Like, she can do no wrong to anyone.
Well, except to Glenn Close, but yeah.
Well, I mean, no one's getting a Christmas card from those 2 families. I'll tell you that.
No.
And then there's Penelope Cruz, who's like quietly, because they didn't pick, Pedro's film, which is fine. It like people sort of just wrote that off, and I'm like, no. It's a really acclaimed film. She won out of Venice for a reason. And then, of course, wading even further in the weeds is the previous winner in Francis, who's just like, I said the Shakespeare quote when I won the Oscar, just give me
right there.
It was right there. Thank you, Mr. Policeman. So I feel like it's like those 6, and then like there's there's Halle Berry and Jennifer Hudson and Jodie Comer and
Kate Blanchett
and Sandra Bullock. We saw Sandra Bullock in that. I know, but
I don't think so.
You're putting Halle Berry up there. We can put Sandy B up there. She's a previous winner. You know what I mean? So,
Halle Berry is far above Sandra Bullock in this race.
I mean, I haven't seen them, so who knows?
It doesn't matter. Facts are facts.
Doesn't matter. We haven't seen them. I don't think either one are going to factor, but it is what it is. I mean, it seems to like that 6 that I mentioned earlier are becoming the consensus.
I just dropped my Best Actress predictions for October this morning, as well as Best Actor, and that is basically what I have. Stewart, McDormand, Cruz, Coleman, Gaga, Chastain, Blanchett, Hudson, Berry, Rensive. It's a great race, though. I think it's a pretty exciting Best Actress race, and it was starting to look a little crammed with biopics. And we just, if you look at even a little bit of history, 3 out of 5 nominees, being real people is pretty high. 4 is almost never happens, and 5 never happens. So you kind of gotta look at your lineup of what you have, and then when you do that, you have all kinds of people who are not playing real people like Olivia Colman and Penelope Cruz and Frances McDormand. And then you start to see, oh, okay, this is going to be a category that is entirely composed of previous winners or nominees and Kristen Stewart.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen obviously Don't Look Up, which is a previous winner. We haven't seen we've seen snippets of that. It looks bad. And then we've seen Being the Ricardos, not any better. And then we've seen the Licorice Pizza trailer as well, too, which Miss Haim herself is being touted already in a conversation with John C. Reilly as like a transformative performance and great. So maybe she's the up and comer new one too that rises up there with Kristen Stewart. If that movie is, we've heard sort of rumblings as how entertaining and accessible that movie is. And
my least favorite word
I know, but
for this season has been accessible.
But also I don't gravitate towards accessible as much as hearing that entertaining for a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, which is for like film people, that's fine. But like for general audiences to find entertainment would be like the first time maybe since like Magnolia where they think that movie is entertaining. Like I wouldn't say a lot.
Yeah, but it's also, very heavy and drenched in dread and metaphor and biblical consequences.
This doesn't seem like that. It seems like
this is Lady Bird meets Almost Famous. And those are
give me this movie now.
those are two movies that it's like, okay, people are going to want to see this.
It also feels like a little with some of the stuff with like you could see in the trailer the behind the scenes of like a film set. It seems almost like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood too. Mixed with that. So
there's some Lucille Ball stuff in there, which was really funny because I think right as the Being the Ricardos trailer came out, it was like, wait a minute, Christine Ebersol is playing Lucille Ball in Licorice Pizza. What's going on here?
Yeah. So the actress is interesting. I will say this: I have seen Spencer, and I'm not to the crazy extent you are.
Crazy.
Well, wow. I mean,
you call common sense crazy?
Well, I mean, hyperbole is not common sense.
Hyperbole, me?
You?
What?
Me? I don't think it's one of the greatest performances of all time. I think it's a very good performance. She feels like just like a placeholder. It really feels like a placeholder. It doesn't feel like this doesn't feel like an actual win. And
that's really bizarre.
And I just for me personally too, like the film fell apart for me at the end, and maybe I need to see it again to really get the contextualities. But like, I thought
a lot Oscar expert.
I thought a lot of the symbolism and stuff in the film too was like so on the nose, I mean, and beat you over the head with it. And it was like, okay, I get it. But she does have one fantastic scene that I will, and it's with the boys late at night. Where they're playing like a sergeant captain game or whatever the hell that thing was. That wrecked me. And just not even just for the film, but like going on and sort of what's going on in the world with Meghan and Harry and everything like that too. Like that. So if that can get me, someone I still like the film, I didn't love it, like that can get Oscar voters easily. And she's everywhere too. To
your point, yes, she is everywhere, and thank goodness for that. To your point about the A word in talking about movies, obviously we know that when we're talking about Academy voters, there has to be passion about a film and a performance. They do have to like it more than respect it. And I think that is the kind of thing that could run into Spencer negatively, and that is that it's too esoteric, that its metaphor is too on the nose.
It's not The Crown.
It is not The Crown, and it's not a biopic of Princess Diana, and people are going to see it, and there will be certainly a section of voters that are going to be like, that's not my Princess Diana, and all of that kind of stuff, because it's not traditional. in a way that we see historically that they vote for things like Bohemian Rhapsody and Darkest Hour, and that those are the kind of biopics and the stories that they are familiar with. Even, you know, with new members every year, we still see very traditional.
They like bad movies, you know. Like
sometimes, yes, sometimes they do, absolutely. So yeah, so that is absolutely a hill for her to overcome. But I do think that she can, and she is.
Oh yeah, I mean,
she is subverting pretty much everyone's preconceived notions of her, because she is incredibly friendly and super funny and very passionate about this movie, and it will come across. So
she's great. I just don't like, beyond her, where the film places everywhere else will be interesting.
I think so too. I do think Timothy Spall has a very good chance, and then I think it's on the cusp in a lot of places. I really do.
I thought so too, and then and you know, everyone was like, "Oh, I don't like him." Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, he's so good in it.
I thought it was like very
that scene in the walk-in refrigerator.
Yes. By the way,
that's it. If you get to that scene, you're going to be like, "Yes, I'm checking that name."
By the way, that food,
I know,
so good.
Yeah, Spencer is also a food porn movie, and I don't think people really realize that.
Got that poster too. Like when you finally realize what that poster means. No spoilers or anything, but that's dumb marketing.
Yes. I almost think that the film, especially in this era, should have some trigger warnings to it. And I think when people talk about it, that they should, because it does address a lot of
her anxiety
issues and traumas in her life, and her eating disorder, and way more than I expected it to, in such a direct manner. So just as a fair warning for people that are going to see it, because I know that for some people it's necessary to have that knowledge. They
had a disclaimer in front of that episode on The Crown. I remember.
Yes, that's right.
So
that's right.
I would hope that maybe when this goes wide, there's a disclaimer, maybe. I don't know, but it might it might throw people off, and they might not. I don't know.
But speaking of,
yes,
it is going wide. It's not getting a platform release.
That is a choice.
It's so shocking that they're doing that, and I think
3,000.
No, just 1,500.
Just 15. That's it.
Yeah, that's huge for Neon.
Yeah, well,
as an opening weekend.
Well, they did that for Titan, didn't they? Where they kind of just went full on out, didn't they?
It wasn't 1,500.
No, but like they went like wide with it for the most part.
Ish,
but like they didn't like build it up. You know,
no.
They just were like, here, have this movie.
Because it has a really short theatrical window before.
Yes,
VOD.
Before the stream. Yeah, and then what do they go to Hulu?
I don't know.
They go to Hulu.
Hulu,
as Andal would say.
Hulu. I think Andal should be Hulu's spokesperson and do commercials for them.
Oh yeah, they should.
I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, they shouldn't get like athletes to do it. Just be like, sign up for Hulu.
Everybody would. Everybody and their grandmother would. They would be calling on their rotary phones. I'd like to order the Hulu.
I like the Andal special. She's such a nice person. I shouldn't even be doing.
Speaking of, let's go right into that. And her contention in supporting actress, and your conversation with her, and your thoughts on her, because it seemed like you had a very nice conversation with her.
It was like a 15-minute conversation, but then we talked like about a collective 10 minutes before and after. And she is very she's saying a lot of the right things, and she is going everywhere, and she's very gracious, and she just cares about, you know how it is, Eric. You talk to people, and some people, like, they're just here, they're going to talk to you in the moment, and then they're done with you. And then like you see them like 2 months later, you're like, oh, we talked, and they're like, oh, we did. Like, and that just like remembers you, and she just like tries to find some way to connect with you personally, rather than just like within like the film. And she is a wonderful conversationalist. She's yet to see the film because this movie has hit her so deeply, and you could just hear the way she talked about Fran and the script and her castmates, that she's got a lot of these emotions she's been carrying with her since they shot this back in November of 2019, and they did it on like a 10-day shoot, 2 days of prep, and all those days of prep were over text messages. And so for this movie to even be halfway as good as it is insane. I think she has a good shot. I really do. Like, she is the flashier performance out of all of them. She has the centerpiece sort of final moment. She's got the final nail in the coffin of this great, piece. And she's been building up to this her entire career over the last couple of years. She's won this Emmy for Handmaid's Tale. I mean, I've seen the film 3 times, which I'm like she was shocked. She was shocked. She was like, she told me afterwards, she's like, you've seen it 3 times and I haven't seen it once. That's a lot.
She was probably thinking, why does this young man like to punish himself?
Well, I mean, one was at Sundance, and then the 2 following were during the festival runs and stuff.
I am interested in how this movie has been campaigned and talked about, because it's sort of like, when a trailer for a musical is hiding the fact that it's a musical because they're worried about people, because all of the write-ups, all of the conversations and the log lines for the movie long before it came out, was around phrasing like, 4 parents get together after a tragic event. And they're so nervous about revealing what the film is about, which now anyone that is listening to this knows that it's a post-school shooting conversation between 2 sets of parents. But it was being hidden in a way that I just didn't feel was the right approach. I think the directness and honesty would have been much better for this, because it's a part of what is so intrinsically fantastic about it, and why I think that 2 days of prep over text messages makes so much sense, because these are people that are meeting for the first time after something pretty terrible. So they're having that sort of unique first meeting moment just kind of makes sense. But I do wish the marketing for it had been a little more direct.
Well, you read the piece, and I asked her about sort of the misconceptions of the film, because people just think that this is a film now about mass shootings. So I think that there was that trepidation of, once it does get out, it's sort of that Zero Dark 30 sort of effect where everyone thinks this is the movie about torture, and it's not. It's much more than that. There's deeper philosophical discussions, hugely emotional, raw feelings left on the table. And I also talked to her about that the film clearly states this is not a movie about politics. This is a movie about, and she said, it's a movie about emotion, and it's about not necessarily reconciliation, but it's a movie about it's a movie really about forgiveness and trying to find that through this tragic event. And it was, I pray to God that people see this movie. It's going wide this weekend. And pray to God people see it, find it. I really hope and pray to God that Bleecker Street can get them all 4 in a room with Fran at an Academy screening and talk about this movie with a full audience. And Anne doesn't have to see the film if she doesn't want to, but I think that they all need to be in a room together, because they've all been she's primarily doing in-person interviews. The cast are all doing phone interviews and stuff right now. They all need to be together.
I agree.
Because if not, then there's no SAG ensemble on the table. I expect
Robert Altman Spirit Award.
Like stuff like that starts getting off the table the more and more they're not together, and starts becoming individuals, and it starts becoming just her and maybe the script which the script is one of the best scripts of the year, in my opinion. And but supporting actress, I mean, right now, everyone has Katrina Balfe as the sort of front runner.
Yeah, I do. I mean, once it was official, it sort of she became such an easy number one pick, and not simply because of her performance, but because I think Belfast is winning Best Picture, and I think we will see.
You think?
You know, we will see. You know, the type of, here's a Best Picture winner that wins 3 or 4. You know, while technical movies, you know, scoop up all of the rest.
Yeah, I mean, it's a movie. What? Director, picture, screenplay,
supporting actress,
or maybe supporting actor. I
feel less inclined for that. I think it's going to get 3 acting nominations, but
it might get awful.
It might, but I think 4 is going to be really difficult.
Dornan's the tough one.
Dornan's the extremely tough one.
But he's so good.
He's great, but he's like the...
But it's like a Stradler.
He's the Richard Gere of this.
Oh, wow.
And that was my comparison when I did my predictions. I was like, everybody else is going to get in. Katrina Balfe and Judi Dench are the Catherine Zeta-Jones and the Queen Latifah, where one is a co-lead and the clear front runner, but the other one will make it into.
Yeah.
Hines, I think, has the
best shot.
A fantastic shot. I hope he's not being underestimated, because
he's really good.
I think he's gathered some steam recently. I don't really look at Gold Derby too much, but I have read that they are, you know, that they have him high. So good for them.
I have him high. He's my favorite performance of the 4.
Yeah, he is my favorite performance of the 4 as well.
Yeah, he got me. So I mean, like him and Jude Hill in those scenes towards the end. I mean,
oh yeah, those two reminded me of my grandparents. Like their dynamic is exactly the same.
Well,
and I think
like the dynamic of this kid and him reminded me of me and my grandparents.
Yes, and I think in your conversation with Kenneth Branagh, that was your entryway to how much you like this, is because you did relate to that so much.
Yeah, there was like I was able to say hello to him before the screening, because a couple of mutual friends of ours, and Clayton Davis and Mark Johnson, were able to, you know, they were able to shake, you know, like say, hey, you want to meet him? And I went and met him.
Yeah.
And Jazz was there too. How could I forget? Jazz was there too. And we were all there. It was like a moment where you just walked around the corner and we were all there.
Exactly.
And he was so kind and so warm and very emotional about this movie. He cannot talk about this movie without getting emotional. It's his family. You know what I mean? It's his family. And it doesn't feel like it's an act. It doesn't feel like it's for show. Like like when they talk about individual little moments in the Q&A after the film, there was one time where he just broke down and he just was like, sorry, I don't mean to, and, you know, to cry and everything, but it's just thinking about it. It's, you know, it's a beautiful testament to his family. But yes, it was sort of the next morning I was able to grab like 5 minutes on the way for us getting like a coffee before screening. And he was talking about how this connects generationally, even though we are years and miles apart. And that's what makes it so universal and beautiful. And it's like a little shot of magic on the screen, like I said in the review. And it's just, it's, oh my God, like I can't stop thinking about it. It's like, I was at the end of the screening, like Jazz, Mark, and Clayton were sitting next to me, and they told me all like, I better like it. Cause you know, Eric, there's one movie every year that's like a front runner that I usually don't respond to or, you know, or just don't connect with. And I was a sobbing mess by the end. And I told him, okay, fine. I just put my hands up in the air and I said, just give it Best Picture. Just do it. I don't care. I don't care what comes out. Like it just feels like a warm hug, and we all kind of need that. And it's interesting that it would be like the follow up to Nomadland, because like Nomadland feels very like, I felt it felt very much of the time where it's like a person alone and in isolation through a desolate, sort of state. And that's how we all kind of felt in one way or another last year. And this is all like, now we're in 2021, we're all vaccinated for the most part now. I'd like to hug cinema again and get a warm embrace. And, and like, that's what the movie felt like, at least for me.
Well, and that's the thing about doing Oscar predicting, is that you can line up all of your ducks of like, here's a movie that's going to win this, and this, and here are the statistics behind it, and all of those things. And I love all those things and utilize them, as purposefully as I can. But every year is entirely its own year, and whatever is happening politically, socially, or anything around will impact it. And this is a movie that celebrates movies and music and theater in a way that is going to absolutely go right into the heart and mind of every person that sees it and watches it, because we are really just getting back into theaters and seeing this family in a movie theater, excited and gagged and just having the best time as a family, is the communal experience that we want when we go to the movies. And that's such a huge part of this. And on top of the emotional family connectivity of it, that is a thing that's going to speak to the people that make movies. Just period.
It's also like a movie too, where it sort of debunks the argument you only need to see movies on the big screen, because there's moments of at home on the small screen too that have just as impactful.
Yes,
of a moment.
TV too. It starts with that.
TV,
Star Trek,
Westerns. Like the specific Westerns he chose. My mouth was on the floor, because I'm like, those were like my grandfather and my dad's like favorite Westerns of all time. And I'm like, well, shit, like that's why I told him straight up. I was like, did you just like pluck like a camera in my house and like around my, because like it was very shockingly similar. But
and
but it gets to the question of like, this movie is like winning audience awards, and it's like top of everyone's ballots, and rightfully so. It is a crowd pleaser, if there ever was one, but not in like a negative connotation. We hear crowd pleasers sometimes, and that provides sort of like Oscar baity negative. I think the last time we all felt like a crowd pleaser was around was like Green Book, and like, and we saw how that. Yeah, I know, but it won audience awards and stuff like that, and it played well in those rooms. So it's weird that like, I think people have that sort of rumblings with this, but this is a different film. It's a much better, way better film than that. And I just start looking at what's coming up, like we talked about, and what's already out. And you sort of start figuring what could beat this. Like, what is the film that could do it? Like it's becoming, like you're saying with some of these other categories, it's becoming, this is a 1, and the gap between 1 and 2 is very much widening as the days are going on.
There's a lot of categories where it's like that too, where the front runner is such a big front runner that it would take something really strange to kind of topple that. But there isn't.
Death on the Nile. That would be the coffin.
Surprise Christmas Day release.
Enter Army Hammer.
Good Lord. If I go back to what I said a minute ago about statistics and all of that kind of stuff, this is where I'll dig my heels in, unless there is a huge paradigm shift, and that is Telluride, where since 2008, with the exception of Green Book, every Best Picture winner has played Telluride, and Nomadland counts because it was on the list if it had happened in 2019.
I think with like Middleburg too, like I think it's been around 8 or
Yeah,
9
Mill Valley
years.
actually too, because of the timing of it. You know, they
every
get
year
everything.
in 9 years,
So
they've had the best picture winner show up.
yes, well, any festival in October, like
we start
like
getting
Middleburg
those,
or Mill Valley, their focus is on these awards contenders, so it's very cream of the crop. So the chances that they have something is extremely high.
Very true.
But even with Green Book as that exception, it won the Toronto's People's Choice, which Belfast did as well. But the moment that we knew that Belfast was going to sidestep Toronto as its world premiere and go to Telluride first, that was it. It was locked in the books for me. And at this point, if I stand by those very strict rules, the only possible Best Picture winners really are Belfast, Power of the Dog, and King Richard.
Yes,
that's it. And if those aren't your top three, I feel like you're not playing the game correctly.
They're in my top four. Zach,
do you have Dune in there too?
I do not have Dune. Dune is my 5. Licorice Pizza is my number 3.
Okay.
No, because I think that from every indicator that they love Paul Thomas Anderson. They would love nothing more than to, I think finally he's been nominated, like 8-9 times.
Yeah.
If he has
he's right there with Bradley Cooper.
Yeah. If he has a highly entertaining, easily, digestible film for all audiences, because I don't want to say the 8 word, then there's his chance. Now they could just go Cooper, screenplay, and then move on. And that's very plausible. But then there's something like that's played very well at the festivals too, like Come On, which is going to play really well in the screenplay categories throughout the year.
And that was a Telluride premiere. And that's won audience awards too.
Yeah. It won, I think, the film 919. I think it shared it with King Richard, if I'm not mistaken.
And it was the Mill Valley Audience Award for US cinema.
There you go. So those seem to be the ones. The only thing about Dune, which it's gonna, I mean, like your predictions on like below the line are like Dune. It's like that Timothy Chalamet tweet.
It is
Dune.
I love that tweet.
I think this about it is we've heard so many comparisons to so many other like properties and things like that. I think it's a very heavy nomination led film. It's going to lead the nominations in the morning easily.
Yeah.
Because it's going to get nominated in like every category below the line. And then, maybe an adapted screenplays on the table for it. Denis, if it got us any acting whatsoever, that would just be like a cherry on top of a morning for Warner Brothers. I doubt it. If anyone, it's going to be Rebecca Ferguson. I just don't see it. I don't see it either. Don't have to shake.
No,
I'm just putting it out there. But
y'all can throw out your Ian McKellen Lord of the Rings all you want.
Yeah.
They are not the same thing.
But still, no, they're not. Because he's like a veteran actor and she's like a newcomer to the race. But that's still what, like 10, 11 nominations. That's really good.
Oh, absolutely.
That's really good for them. And then they have King Richard. Warner Brothers is going to have a really, really interesting year.
Yes, if they don't, if they can manage to,
and honestly,
pull these campaigns together.
Honestly, like I don't have it in director right now, but I have it in screenplay, King Richard. And the more I'm thinking about it, if Will Smith's in the big time conversation, he's in the straw poll at number 1. Aunjanue Ellis is not far off, I think, in supporting actress.
She's absolutely not.
She's
there.
Incredible in the movie. So are the girls, too. The girls are like, it's going to be so tough when you do like Critics' Choice for young actor, like, because you have Belfast, you have King Richard, you have Woody Norman for Come On.
It's going to be a good category.
Bloodbath. I don't see the Power of the Dog being there. I just think that's.
I think it's a top contender. I think
it's a top contender nomination.
The way that Mank was.
Yeah. Or I think this is even less accessible than Mank. And I know that, and Mank was not very accessible. Like that movie, people did not like. I think you're either going to like this movie or you're not going to like it. Like it's like, look, I love Campion's work and the movie was really good. And I really can't wait to see it again, but I don't see everyone going for it.
I disagree.
But that is Netflix's big push.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Because none of them have seen Adam McKay's movie. So
yes.
Yeah.
And, because that is a larger budget, the focus for things like Passing and The Lost Daughter, which did so well at the Gotham nominations and will do well at the Spirit Awards, just kind of spreads that wealth around.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I hope Tessa Thompson gets in at Indie Spirits, because like Ruth Negga's getting a ton of claim and deservedly so. She's fantastic.
Well, she's also the one going everywhere.
Yes, but Tessa Thompson is
she's great
in that movie.
Yep.
And The Lost Daughter, you like it more than I do.
I love The Lost Daughter.
Like that movie lost me. Let me tell you that, because I almost
because you're a man.
I almost took a nap during that thing. It's a terrible movie. That's a terrible movie to be putting on at 9:30 in the morning.
What it must be like to hate women that much. I can't even imagine.
I will say this. I think Maggie Gyllenhaal, she has positioned herself very well with that film because she was on the Cannes jury and it's been almost everywhere as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so it can't discount that. Plus everyone loves Olivia Colman, and the best performance actually isn't even Olivia Colman in the film. It's Jessie Buckley, who's fantastic.
Jessie Buckley's incredible. I think she has the much more difficult job.
Exactly, because she has to deal with 2 children in that film. But 2 screaming, annoying children. Don't have those in the Rising Young Child Performances of the Year awards, people. But Passing, Rebecca Hall's eye. I read Robert Daniels's interview for the site, and it was impeccable. Just because she is really something. So good.
She got a tribute award or a spotlight award at Mill Valley, and I think the moderator Zoe Elton got in like 4 questions because
only 4,
because Rebecca Hall will talk for like 7 minutes and just go and expand, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was. I loved it. And
I think that makes
Maggie Gyllenhaal was the same way. Where
you got a shout out.
If you give her what's that?
You got a shout out with Maggie Gyllenhaal. Your sparkly outfit.
Oh, from Dakota.
Yeah, because you just had to make it about yourself.
I did. I really hate being the center of attention. I mean, everybody knows
you
about
never.
Me.
What?
So I was like, "What, me?" That was a fun night.
You're in the front row, of course. So you're just
always
like,
in the front row.
You're like, can you shine the spotlight on me? And
I know.
It looked like the sun.
They were like, why is there a fucking disco ball in this theater? What's going on? Is this Phantom of the Opera? Is that a chandelier?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that was really fun. But Maggie Gyllenhaal's the same way. And it's just, these are first-time feature directors, and they're passionate about what they've made. And the kind of movie that they made as their first film is so...
They're interesting pieces for
unique.
2 extraordinary actresses. Yeah, for sure. I think Passing is, man, that could have gone wrong in so many ways. And I think
it's so outstanding.
And it's so great. And then The Lost Daughter, I will give it another shot. I think early in the morning and not enough coffee didn't help with that movie, but there's aspects of it that I really, really love. And aspects I don't like the ending. So
I loved every second of it.
Of course you did. And then you when you literally dance with them all night, you shill. So
no, that was before I saw the movie before. No, I loved it. It's just, you just don't see stories where women are allowed to be mothers that are exhausted and hate what they're doing sometimes.
Oh no, I thought that stuff was great. I thought the sort of thriller stuff didn't work for me towards
the thriller stuff is what was so good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, people will see it when they see it, and then they can make up their minds, and then they can either agree with me or unfortunately agree with you. And I don't know
Netflix. It'll be on Netflix.
I don't know why anybody would align themselves. with you, but
you had me on here, so this is your fault.
Well,
you're giving the people the choice to listen.
I was threatened and I was blackmailed, and
it's not
I'm
true.
only revealing that right now.
Yeah, well,
and if you could see me, I'm blinking.
Blinking for help.
It's an SOS right now. If anybody can help me, please do. I hate you so much, Ryan McQuade. Anyway, yes. Okay. So,
actor? Want to talk about actor?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that. I don't want to go on and on and on. I don't like doing 3-hour podcasts like other people do.
Oh, shut up. Okay. Will's in the first position.
Yes.
Everyone seems to think it's Denzel is next or Cumberbatch. Those
I moved Cumberbatch up to number 2 and Denzel Washington down to number 3. But
so I've seen these 3 pretty much on everyone. So there's 2 positions that people are assuming are wide open, which I agree with.
I agree too.
Where do you have it right now?
So as of today, Joaquin Phoenix and Clifton Collins Jr.
Really? You think Clifton Collins Jr. is going to get in for that?
So here's the thing.
Did he go to Mill Valley or like?
No, he didn't. But he was at
Middleburg.
Other things, and he's doing the Deadline Contenders. So is Mass. This is, and I believe I wrote this in the last month's write-up, or maybe it was the Front Runner Friday. But Best Actor is a category that loves newcomers and first-time nominees. Yeah, the last time that a lineup didn't have a first-time nominee was 41 years ago. And yes, all records and all statistics will eventually be broken. And maybe it will be this year, because Clifton Collins Jr. and Peter Dinklage, which are really the 2 main contenders to be that first-time nominee, aren't really the strongest. I think their performances are, their films. Their performance is great, but I mean, when you have a first timer, you have to have a film that is already strong. Like
last year was Sound of Metal for Riz, which nominated for Best Picture. You had Steven Yeun for Minari, which that movie was a Best Picture nominee, and then Chadwick. So like, there you go.
Which was like probably next in line for Best Picture.
In line, and also like it was like an undeniable performance getting nominated too. By Chadwick.
And it doesn't mean that it can't be like a sole nomination. And
then like,
Antonio Banderas finally getting in. Damien Bashir for A Better Life in 2011. He was the only, obviously, nomination for that film. But that campaign basically started in the summer, because I remember that extremely well. And it was Entertainment Weekly who had started, Oscar talk stuff way back in the summer. And they're like, we think you should keep your eye out for this. And he worked his way throughout the season, and there it was.
Actors help him out too.
Yeah. And, we are also very focused on opportunity and representation at the Oscars as it continues to grow. The nomination for Steven Yeun last year was historical.
Say it. Say what you're about to say. I can't wait to hear it.
So one of the next groups that needs to benefit from this are Hispanic and Latino actors.
Oh my God, say it louder for the people in the back.
I did.
Say it louder to Warner Brothers too.
That's what I wrote in the Best Actor piece today, is that not only is it a fantastic performance, he's a veteran actor that has worked with freaking everybody. He is that, and I don't ever mean to say that as a token, but he is that, and it's certainly time so that these things cannot be, this finally happened, or this hasn't happened in 10 years. It just
yeah.
needs to keep happening.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's been such a banner year for Latino representation, and yet none of it has sort of risen to the top. Like the negative bombardment on In the Heights early in this year is an example of things that frustrate me as a Latino critic, because of the fact that people beat that film down so much about its box office and all this other stuff. And then you look at all these other films that haven't performed that are still in the race. Looking at you, Tammy Faye. And that movie was universally loved, and then was beat down for other things that, are fair to talk about. But also too, it's like, why did this conversation start happening right after the box office results started coming out? So I started feeling a little weird. And then, Lynn's been everywhere. He has like 900 projects this year, but Lynn is not also a token representation of the entire body of, Latinos. And then of course, West Side Story, which is its own problem within itself of who's writing, directing that, and the male lead of that film. And so I met Clifton Collins Jr. at Middleburg. I saw the film back at Sundance. I thought it was he was incredibly,
I love him,
just beautiful in that performance. It's it almost reminded me of like The Wrestler in a way, just like how it's it's a very intimate performance. I just don't know if people are going to see it. But then we doubted Sony Pictures Classics last year, and they did a fantastic job of getting that movie out, getting the father out, even though we were all questioning them the entire time.
They're great.
So they're very good about that. And then, speaking of then representation, you have Peter Dinklage, you know what I mean? And he's he's been around for so long, and yes, he's won Emmys, and there's the Game of Thrones aspect and everything. But, I just think that it might be his time too. Wasn't he like the actor showcase at Telluride too in the conversation? And he was
super funny.
Yeah, and he knows how to play a room. Plus, his performance in that film,
he really does know how to play a room.
Is fantastic. Movie, he though is great, and I would love to see him get nominated. It would be a long time coming. So it's those two, but then also, there's Joaquin, who I think is there, and
I have at number 4. So there's
tons of people too still there.
And once you move away from there, looking at like a first timer becomes extremely
rough.
Yeah, it's Jude Hill in Belfast. It's Cooper Hoffman in Licorice Pizza. It's Amir Jadidi in A Hero. It's Simon Rex in Red Rocket.
Oh my God, those two performances, my God.
Those are none of those are happening.
No.
But that's okay. So
Simon,
then we look
Simon
at
Rex feels like the film Twitter Adam Sandler thing this year. And and the performance is great, and he is a lovely, lovely person to talk to.
He'll probably win the Spirit Award too. Just like Sandler. And
that'd be a wild acceptance speech. I can't wait for that.
He's really funny.
He's so funny.
He's great. He's really great.
Yeah.
But so that's my take on best actors, that I always have to look for the newcomer, and it has to be either the strength of their film that does it, the weakness of another film that kind of fails, or an individual performance that really gets elevated in the conversation. So, that's Peter Dinklage and Clifton Collins Jr.
Yeah. And then I did see your screenplay predictions yesterday that I thought were interesting. You? I did. I thought they were interesting because I think there's so many possibilities for original screenplay. It feels so stacked, and then adapted seems to be weaning itself out. You sort of starting to figure out which maybe like 6 or 7 or 8 films are going to be there, but original, it could go so many ways because, it's the same with like director. We don't know what might like, are they going to just accept like Denis as the foreign director in there? I doubt it.
No,
is it,
it does not count as the foreign language film
is
director.
it Oscar Farhari, who a hero is playing very well at these fall festivals? And
I don't know. You'll have to see my director predictions when they come out tomorrow.
Is it Julia?
No,
it's not.
No.
Is it who else would be there? Is Pablo Larraín count?
Pablo Larraín would count. Joaquin Trier, Jonas Rasmussen,
Paulo Sorrentino.
There's a lot this year, which is actually a problem.
Foreign language is stacked.
It is. And the reason why, like,
it's great though.
The reason why Vinterberg or Pawlowski were able to get in was because it was easy to coalesce around a single director that branch could do. And that's why they got in. When you have a whole laundry list that reduces the chances for everybody, because it's like trying to nominate women. You have to they have to find one. We just got two for the first time last season ever.
Yeah.
Because if it's not one, it's none.
Yeah.
And
it's like that with every minority, to be fair.
Yeah.
Not one, and then it's none.
It's absolutely the case. We also just, got 2 Black Best Actress nominees for the first time in 50 years.
And we might not get one.
And we probably won't have one this year because it's a little bit bleak.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, but there will be representation in other categories. It just won't be that one.
Absolutely.
Especially actor. I mean, shoot, the Denzel versus Smith rematch. You know what I mean?
I'm telling you. It would take a lot, I think, for Will Smith to be toppled from this. It like some kind of, I think he could even withstand a huge controversy.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's Will Smith. Like, anyone that's reading into, oh, why isn't he at these festivals and it's like, he's Will Smith. Like,
yes,
Denzel went to New York. That's it. You know what I mean? And granted, the film only went there, but
went there.
But it's also like, too, like, that's the only place they're going to show up the rest of the year. You know?
Well, I don't partake in unsubstantiated rumors, so we won't even talk about anything that. No, but I think that King Richard's been able to win audience awards without Will Smith there. So that's the power of his persona. But I mean, he doesn't even need to be there, and people will still vote.
It feels like a four. Like, I'm looking at your original screenplay. The 4 you have in your top 4 spots.
Yeah,
that feels like it's there. Those are them.
Original.
Yeah, Belfast, Licorice Pizza, Come On, King Richard. Those feel like the 4. And then there's a spot open.
Yeah, I agree.
And I have Mass, but I'm just mostly being optimistic. I don't see it probably happening. A Hero would be great there, because A Hero is a great screenplay. But The Worst Person in the World, you have that there. I just don't know how. I know I've heard it's great, and I cannot wait to see it, but I just don't know how.
I probably have it a little bit higher than it should be, but whenever I do this, it's a microcosm of the moment, and this is
everyone's talking about
it. Yeah, her chances are great. It's Norway's selection. It will probably win, so that puts her in a really good spot. That puts the screenplay in a really good spot. So it's probably more like 6-7, but and
then there's Pedro and McKay,
exactly,
and see how they take Spencer, because if they like Spencer a lot, that's a spot it could go. And and then of course, and I hate saying this, but it's just the truth, can't count out Sorkin.
Well,
you can't count him out. No, you can't. He's
sure you can.
He's nominated a ton of times.
Yeah, but
you love him.
He didn't get it for Steve Jobs, and he won the Globe.
But then he got in for Molly's Game,
which is insane.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like,
but that's why it's not entirely based on who it is. It's year to year to year.
No, yeah, I know, but like if they just want to go safe, they could go there.
But that's also why people are like, why wouldn't you have Adam McKay in your top 5? Why isn't Don't Look Up in the top 5 of all of your
that
lists?
movie is,
and people are just like down my throat about it, and I'm just like, calm down.
You're welcome.
Calm down.
Yeah, no, I get that. And then, I mean, adapted, I think the only thing really safe and adapted right now is Power of the Dog. You can move everything else around.
Maybe, but it's really funny is that before I finalized my rankings, I was writing the piece, and I was going through female screenwriters and the history of it and how poor it is, and we've never had more than 2 of the 5 films represented be written or co-written by women. And then I started putting my thing together, and I'm like, my entire top 5 is women.
Yeah.
That would be,
I saw that. Yeah.
Beyond, and that happened afterwards. And it wasn't even, obviously of subconscious, it was in my head, but I was, looking at my last months, and I was looking at what's playing well right now. And that's why The Lost Daughter and Passing rose the way that they did. And
7 of your 10 have at least a female writer on that.
Again, unintentional by design, but there we are.
Mm-hmm. No,
yeah,
sure.
because even if you look out, Coda, there is just an enormous amount of possibility.
I mean,
for some major history in this category.
But then, like I can see where you're getting at. It's like The Lost Daughter and Passing. That could be the place where they reward those 2 films the most, right? And reward those directors.
Mm-hmm.
But I can also see one of them getting in over the other, or neither one of them getting in there. Coda also too. It just depends on the passion and love behind that film. Nightmare Alley sort of makes sense because it's Del Toro and Kim Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
And then they could just go like super safe. They could go like Macbeth. They could go Dune, Gucci. They could go The Last Duel.
Well,
West
both
Side
of those
Story
have women co-writers, so that still counts.
Yeah, but I mean, those movies aren't. I guess what I'm trying to say is with those, with The Last Duel, that's a team collaboration rather than just Nicole writing that entire script herself, as opposed to like Maggie and Rebecca. That's their whole vision. You know what I mean? And and so I would love if Rebecca Hall got in there for Passing, because that script is great. Anytime you can get like Andre Hall and Tessa Thompson and Ruth Negga to like spew beautiful dialogue, like sign me the hell up.
And Alexander Skarsgård is a bad white guy.
Isn't he like a bad guy in pretty much like everything he's in now?
He is. He looks like
getting like
this giant Aryan monster. So yeah, he's the perfect.
And then his
bad
dad
guy.
was in Dune, so he was like a airborne monster technically.
So I think we're gonna wrap up for today for Ryan, your first ever Awards Watch podcast.
The first and last.
It might be.
Yeah,
the people will
you'll get
speak.
so late. No, you'll get so lazy that we'll forget about this. We'll be doing this in a year's time again.
Maybe I'll just forget that we even did it, and I won't even edit and put it out. I don't know. We'll see.
No, you won't.
I know this has been a big dream of yours for a very long time, and there's almost nothing I like more than crushing your dreams. So that would be the right thing to do.
Yeah,
would be to say, "Oh no, Ryan, it didn't record. Oh no."
I'm always so nervous with you because I know we joke a lot, but then there is those moments where you're like, and I'm like, is he really crushing my dreams here? Like, hello, I'm in a void.
I know. Ryan, sir, please tell the people where they can find you.
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Ryan McQuade 77. There I have a link to my link tree where I did that last night, actually. And it has all my stuff for Awards Watch, which you should really, obviously you're already checking out the site, but read everybody else's stuff there too. We have so many fantastic writers and contributors, and then Eric's there. And then you you can find also my work at InSession Film, Film Speak, Awards Radar. I have the Bustin' Block podcast, Jason Gold, where Eric's been on before, Extra Film, all that other stuff.
And don't forget your OnlyFan account. It's not fans. It's only one. It's just OnlyFan.
Well, you shouldn't tell people that you're the fan of it, but okay.
Wow. That was, I can't believe you would spoil that for everybody right here.
Well, there you go.
That's rude.
Well, let me just also tell them the ending of all the other movies that
yes, and then by the way, the ending of Eternals.
Oh, that movie doesn't. No one cares about that movie. It's just a Marvel movie. Who cares?
Exactly. But no. In all truth, Ryan, thank you for being on the first Oscar podcast of this season. So
we're gonna have plenty to talk about.
Please understand the weight of this that has been gifted to you.
Listen, for everyone out there, I love this man. This man is a great friend, a wonderful editor. We joke constantly like this. And so if you like this, then let us know, because we will continue to do this, and it will be even worse on the next
God,
episode.
I hope we're not flooded with downvotes and like, what the hell is this? I've never done an Apple podcast review before, but I had to because this was so terrible.
These two assholes.
I'm telling you. Yes. Okay. Well, yes. Thank you. And please, check out everything that Ryan does as a new staff writer on AwardsWatch. And I also love Ryan too. And I love working with him. And he is a great person to work with as an editor. So I love it. All joking aside. But
we have that live on audio, by the way.
I'm telling you, I'm going to edit that out.
Blackmail.
I'm going to edit that out.
Say it again one more time for the camera, darling.
You can follow me, Eric, at awards_watch on Twitter and AwardsWatch on Instagram and awardswatch.com, which I hope you're already doing. God, why wouldn't you? If you're here already, you must be, right? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, that's it. We're done with the first podcast of the season. I feel very accomplished. I'm going to go take a nap now.
Yeah, because he's old.
Because I'm old.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, because I'm old. But yes, thanks, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Ryan. Bye.
Eric. Bye.
But it's you, my nephew.
I've been Noguchi all my life. It is an empire.
You can help the family. Gucci is not exciting, and everybody knows it.
At least it's my name, sweetie.
Our name, sweetie. Gucci needs no blood.
Gucci is what I say it is. This is not a woman's game. Remember that.
Madness. Who does he think he is? It's time to take out the trash.
Gucci is a rare animal. It must be protected
Protected from who?
from whoever threatens it.
What game are you playing?
For a family.
You traitor.
Gucci is my name too.
Who does what?
Oh.
Don't miss. I don't consider myself a particularly ethical person, but I am fair. I subscribe to unconventional punishments.
Sweet dreams of